Hey Dunchbags, what's going on? It's Landon Remixes here, and it is time for the second installment of List Week 2017, my top 10 Monstercat releases of 2017. Monstercat is currently my favorite independent record label on the map, and also Monstercat has been a huge factor in my channel's growth this year. I've been covering Monstercat music essentially since I started doing reviews on my channel. In fact, the very first review type format video that I did, which was my top 10 albums of 2014, Haywire's Twofold Part 1 placed on that list. I also did an EP review of Laszlo's Closer back in 2015, and gradually I've been covering more and more Monstercat stuff with basically every year. This year has been without a doubt my biggest year ever doing videos as Landon Remixes, and it's also been basically Monstercat's biggest year that they've ever had as a label. So I figured what better way to celebrate than to make a year-end list for my favorite Monstercat releases of 2017. In my top 10 EPs video that came out a couple days ago, I had mentioned that there would be an undecided amount of tracks in this list, and last night I decided on 10 because I spent 5, 6, maybe even 7 hours editing together that video, and there's no way I wanted to spend even more time and put my body through that with this video, so I decided on 10. But for all of you guys who really want to see more than just 10 of my favorites, I am going to have some honorable mentions toward the end of the video. This video is also, in a way, going to double as a top 10 artists of Monstercat in 2017, because basically how I organized it is I picked out the 10 artists that I thought had the strongest year on the label, and then from there picked out my favorite track that they did this year, and that's very similar to how I voted for Monstercat's Best of 2017 compilation, which 8 of my artists and 4 of my song choices actually ended up making, so I'll say it right now, I was very happy with the results of the Best of 2017 compilation. But enough of that, let's get into my top 10 Monstercat releases of 2017. Now, back a couple years ago, and my friends can vouch to this, I would have absolutely hated this song. Back then, I'd probably say I was most into the really euphoric, commercial, melodic big room house music. For that reason, I genuinely looked down on hardstyle as an inferior genre because I felt like it was just so noisy and really drained out the emotion that I thought EDM should carry. But more recently, in the last year or so, the stuff that I've really enjoyed going to EDM shows and raves is the stuff that's just super energetic and impactful, and I'd say when it comes to hardstyle, it really brings the energy. KAYZO, in my opinion, has been absolutely one of the best up-and-comers to come out of this scene. I found KAYZO through his remixes where he took really well-known songs and kind of flipped them on their heads, bringing these really noisy and unconventional drops. And needless to say, I was really excited when KAYZO brought this kind of attitude to Monstercat with this time. I think the intro is epic, I really love the vocal chops, I think the build-up toward the drop is just absolutely driving and really pushes forward that energy, and then the drop is just absolutely insane. It goes off live and it really brings that energy, I'll tell you what. And even beside this song, I think KAYZO has had a really strong year on Monstercat. I really liked all the stuff he's put out, with the exception to Without You. But yeah, KAYZO had a great year, and I feel like this time was a huge part of that. GLACIER was an artist that I kind of shoved to the back for a really long time because honestly I wasn't thrilled with his first couple Monstercat releases, like his remix of Get On Up by PEGBOARD, Nerds, and Jaws, and his original track Dancing By Myself with Kayla. This year, notably with Neos, GLACIER kind of took my opinion and completely flipped on its head, and now GLACIER is probably one of my favorite artists in the scene. This spot on the list was a little bit of a toss-up between Neos and Nurture because I really like both of those songs, but honestly when it comes down to the two, I think this one is the superior track. It's a house song, but like it also combines those really unique jazz elements into it, and then it also has that future bass drop, which I think is a really fun part of the track. I don't know, like I've said before, I've kind of fallen out of love with house music in recent years, and when artists like GLACIER, who don't typically try house music, kind of come and bring their ideas to the table in that genre, I think something really magical happens. No matter, I really like this song, and I'm really excited to see how GLACIER is going to evolve as an artist in the next couple years. is an artist that I sadly didn't find out about until he started doing music on Monstercat, and sadly I kind of really was very underwhelmed by the song After Dark. So I wasn't really thrilled to hear any of the releases following that, but it seems like MYRNE has kind of gotten progressively better over time with his Monstercat releases. While I really like how versatile of an artist MYRNE is and how kind of diverse his discography is, I also think this comes back to kind of bite him in the butt as one of his major flaws, because he doesn't really have a specific sound that he's rooted into, which makes his music very hard to discern from other producers kind of doing the same kind of bass music style. Get It All, with the exception of the guitar solo toward the end of the track, sounds like it could have come straight out of Marshmello's discography, and this song in particular sounds like it could maybe be an Unlike Pluto song. In fact, Confessions really sounds like Everything Black. Despite all that, I'd probably say I liked how this track rounded out a bit better than that one. The lyrics of Confessions feel more personal, despite KAYZO not being as strong of a vocalist as Mike Taylor. And then another thing I really wasn't crazy about in regards to Everything Black is that I think the vocal chops during the drop feel really forced, and Confessions kind of eliminates that. And I know, it's weird for me to feature a track that I feel like so heavily parallels another track by a different artist, but at least for me, this was like the healthy alternative to a track I really wasn't that crazy about. And regardless, MYRNE, I think, is a great artist, and I'm really excited to see how he pushes forward from here. Go, Brazil! GAMMER, from my standpoint, has had a really fantastic year, simultaneously having just an absolutely terrible year. He's a hit or miss artist for me to the absolute extreme. When he hits, he really hits, and when he misses, he really misses. This remix, though, was not a miss. In fact, it's probably a hit to the highest degree. Remember how earlier I said I like really unconventional hard dance music? Well, this is even like crazier than anything KAYZO's done. It's just so noisy, so wacky, so unconventional, it's almost repulsive, but I can't help but love it. It also throws in Go Berserk's original drop, which it kind of ties together with these really interesting hardcore fills. And because of that, in a way, it's like, why would I ever listen to the original when I have this absolutely insane remix to listen to? I don't know. Despite being a remix, I think this is one of GAMMER's best tracks, and it would be really cool to see him do an original kind of in this vein. 1, 2, 3. Machine is an artist who I'm personally very fond of, but he's come under a lot of criticism for his music simply just sounding too similar to his other tracks. Though one thing that I think has contributed to him having a really strong 2017 is his ability to kind of push the envelope on his more recent releases. Spooky is kind of the poster child for that, with Tokyo Machine really breaking away from that kind of breaks and bass house style he's been known for. The majority of this song goes for a really dirty, distorted trap sound, which I just absolutely adore. But then he also takes a lot of influence from hardstyle, big room, and dubstep. And despite this track being Halloween themed, I just think it's so phenomenal that I could listen to it year round. Here I am in Christmas season, still jamming on this song. Less than 3, Tokyo Machine. Less than 3. Despite Nerds by Nature, in my opinion, being one of the Pegboard Nerds' weakest EPs, I think it did have some really strong tracks on it, and this track is definitely a good example of that. Following a straight year of the Pegboard Nerds releasing almost nothing but bro step, they gave us this as the intro to their EP. A wondrous song that somehow works at a really fast tempo, taking influence from progressive and ambient music. I don't know, in my opinion, this is one of the most unique tracks the Pegboard Nerds have ever done, and that's on top of them having, in my opinion, a really fantastic year as a duo in 2017. They most definitely pushed the envelope more than they did last year, and I think this song was a huge part of that. God, DROELOE's so good. Even if most of their releases right now are happening through BERZERK, I still think they had a fantastic year as a duo. I'd say that they're probably the only artist right now who maintains such a natural and organic sound yet still hold a ton of mainstream appeal. I'd say that Jump is a prime example of that, with the majority of the song being fueled by this music box sound. DROELOE as a duo will really throw you on a loop and cause you to expect the unexpected, and that really comes out in this track. And although the vocal work is a little less than fantastic, I think the great production really makes up for it. NOTAKER, another one who had a fantastic year of growth as an artist. He had a great EP, Genesis, which I featured in my top 10 EPs of 2017. But in my opinion, none of the songs on that EP really top what Shimmer brings to the table. And a lot of that, at least for me, is just the pure state of euphoria it brings. It starts out the track with this really soft, gentle melody, and then progresses into this huge drop, which just brings a ton of beauty and emotion. The absolutely huge chords kind of hit and then fade back for these little drum fills to come in, which I just love. Hell yeah, I love this track. It's probably my favorite one that NOTAKER's done to date. TOPI is an artist who I've been supporting basically since the very beginning. I used to do promotion for his bootleg remixes back when I first started on Your EDM in 2014, and it's just been so cool to see how TOPI's progressed as an artist, with him getting more experimental and more involved into his sound design. Swapping Things is another one of those tracks that really gets me thinking, like, why can't house producers be more inventive? This song is so noisy, it's super glitchy and experimental, but at the same time the track's just got this absolutely insane groove to it that just makes me want to dance. It's weird, like, it's a really weird track, but I just absolutely love it. And quickly, before I unveil my number one, here are the honorable mentions of 2017. My number one goes to... a big fan of Grant since the early days of his Grant Bowtie stuff, but with the Grant project, he just blows me away time after time, and Are We Still Young is a perfect example of that. The song combines these really beautiful, youthful vocals with a more experimental edge that definitely comes out in the form of the vocal chops in the first drop, although I'd probably have to say, in my opinion, my absolute favorite part of this track is the second drop, which just absolutely blasts listeners with a dose of euphoria. I'd probably say the greatest thing about this track, and really really with Grant in general, is that nothing else sounds like this. And even Grant himself shies away from making songs that sound like his other songs. Every single track he puts out brings something new, something fresh, something distinct to the table, and this track just happens to be my favorite out of the bunch. I absolutely cannot wait to see how Grant progresses as an artist in 2018, and I honestly think whenever Grant does finally break into the mainstream, we are going to see a serious resurgence in uniqueness in pop music. I frickin' love you, Mr. Bhutan. Your spot as #1 is well deserved. And yeah, that's about it for this second installment of List Week 2017, the 10 best releases on Monstercat of the year. If you guys would like to let me know what your favorite Monstercat release of the year is down in the comment section below, I'd be happy to look over those and see what you guys think. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I'll catch you next for the top 10 albums of 2017, probably coming on Sunday. Anyway, I'll catch you guys then. Peace.